second half of the introduction. Sure. And then we start with these 4 songs. Then jump in and do an interview for 10 minutes. I'll talk with anybody who wants to talk.
He'll probably do most of the talking. Stephen will typically.
But
So.
you guys are okay to talk?
Yeah, we can chime in.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. And we have mid-show announcements, which are very brief. Then a second interview after song 11. That's how it goes. We love it when you introduce songs.
Yeah.
We also produce a TV program. I'm getting some headphones right now. That's all right.
All right, sledding whenever you're ready to go. Wait just a moment, please. Yes, sir. Go ahead and mark it. Mark it.
Okay. He's plugging them in now. Okay. Okay, Edward. I have headphones. I have you, thank you. Okay. Have a good time.
Good evening, I'm Bradford Becker. Welcome to Red Barn Radio as we begin our 24th year of broadcasting. Tonight, presenting roots music Southern style with episode number 909. Every family has its own stories. For Garrett Boys, a family trio from Overton County, Tennessee, those stories live on 500 wooded acres they simply call the land, where 9 generations have worked, played, and passed down music, tales, and traditions. Brothers Stephen and Russell, along with Stephen's son Carter, channel that heritage into Appalachian folk songs that fuse bluegrass, country, and storytelling grit. Welcome, Garrett Boys, to Red Barn Radio.
Thank you. Well, the first one we're going to do here is called Back to Akron. Apologies to anyone in the audience or out there listening from Akron. Here we go. Well, I ain't ever going back to Akron. I don't care what your mama said. I ain't ever going back to Akron, unless my body's grown cold and dead. Been spending my time on a factory line, rather be hauling logs instead. I ain't ever going back to Akron. I don't care what your mama said. All right. Now my mother-in-law said she'd make a few calls by Monday morning. I was hired. Nearly 50 hours later, still breaking my back, a rolling them Firestone tires. And the smell of that rubber was burning my brain, enough to drive a country boy insane. Yeah, I'm thinking about leaving just as fast as I came, put my Chevy down a southbound lane. I ain't ever going back to Akron. I don't care what your mama said. I ain't ever going back to Akron, unless my body's grown cold and dead. I've been spending my time on a factory line, rather be hauling logs instead. I ain't ever going back to Akron. I don't care what your mama said. Oh yeah. Now that white concrete is all I'd see, no matter which way I went. And when payday comes, it ain't much fun when that money's done all been spent. Yeah, none of these people wanna talk to me. I think I about had enough. If I was to head out now, maybe somehow I'd see my baby before the sun come up. But I ain't ever going back to Akron. I don't care what your mama said. I ain't ever going back to Akron, unless my body's grown cold and dead. Been spending my time on a factory line, rather be hauling logs instead. I ain't ever going back to Akron. I don't care what your mama said. Yeah, I've been spending my time on a factory line, rather be slopping hogs instead. I ain't ever going back to Akron. I don't care what your mama said. I don't care what your mama said. I don't care what your mama said. All right. Thanks.
Good evening and welcome to Red Barn Radio. Wherever in the world you're listening, welcome to Roots Music Southern Style. Thanks to WEKU, Red Barn Radio's official radio partner, NPR for Central and Eastern Kentucky. Listen online at weku.org. Red Barn Radio is supported by Visit Lex, Lexington, Kentucky's Convention and Visitors Bureau. More information on what Lexington has to offer is at visitlex.com. LexArts, Lexington, Kentucky's premier cultural development, advocacy, and fundraising organization, working for the development of a strong and vibrant arts community as a means of enhancing the quality of life in Central Kentucky. Follow Red Barn Radio on Twitter and like us on Facebook. Here's the host of Red Barn Radio to tell us more about tonight's performers.
Our guests this evening are Garrett Boys. Their forthcoming album, It Runs Deep, produced by Ray Kennedy of Steve Earl and Lucinda Williams fame, spans love, labor, mystery, and memory, songs of timber work and whiskey stills, of family legends retold until they became myth. With guests like Steve Earl and songs handed down from their father and grandfather, Garrett Boys recordings carry forward a lineage of music rooted in place, blood, and belonging. The first single, Drag in the River, arrives in just about 3 weeks, October 3. We are glad to have them with us here on Red Barn Radio tonight. Welcome back, Garrett Boys.
Hey, thanks. Good to be here. Thanks. This is a song that kicks off the record. It's a song called Back Home. I'm going to attempt to play this thing. I don't really know how to play it, so here we go. Ready? 1, 2, 3, go. Day I left Tennessee, I swore I had to go. Couldn't tell me anything that I didn't already know. Sometimes the nights turn into days and I can't sleep. Stare at a ceiling wondering why. Somewhere along the way I realized it's a long, long, long way back home. Yep. When I saw my name in lights, I knew I was on my way. A new girl or two each night. I thought I had it made. Sometimes the nights turned into days and I couldn't sleep. I stare at the ceiling wondering why. Somewhere along the way I realized it's a long, long, long way back home. I ain't proud on my running. You can say I lost my way. Maybe I had this coming. This is my reckoning day. Sometimes the nights turn into days and I can't sleep. Stare at a ceiling wondering why. Somewhere along the way I realized it's a long, long, long way back home. Thank you so much. Yeah, he mentioned Steve Earl there in the intro. He was a mentor to us, and not up close, but from a distance. Every song he put out talked us through how we ought to write songs, and so that's what we did. So we usually try to do a Steve Earl song here or there. This one's called Hometown Blues. Again, apologies to our hometown, because we love our hometown. When I play this song in our hometown, my wife says, "Why would you play that in your hometown?" But it's just a song that we really like. We love our hometown, so apologies to Livingston, Tennessee, Needmore, Allens, and Timothy. But this is Hometown Blues by Steve Earl. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Now I wish I'd never come back home. It don't feel right since I've been gone. Yeah, I can't find any of my old friends hanging around. They won't nothing bring you down like your hometown. Now I spent some time in New Orleans. Texas when the sun was beating down. There won't nothing bring you down like your hometown. I'll sing it, boys. Hey, home is where the heart is, ain't that what they always say? But my heart lies in broken pieces scattered along the way. So don't think about me when I'm gone, 'cause I don't mind traveling alone. You are the sweetest little thing that I ever found. There won't nothing bring you down like your hometown. I'll play us one now. Everybody, hey, home is where the heart is, ain't that what they always say? But my heart lies in broken pieces scattered along the way. So don't think about me when I'm gone, 'cause I don't mind traveling alone. You are the sweetest little thing that I ever found. There won't nothing bring you down like your hometown. One more time again, boys, real pretty this time. Hey, home is where the heart is, ain't that what they always say? But my heart lies in broken pieces scattered along the way. So don't think about me when I'm gone, 'cause I don't mind traveling alone. You are the sweetest little thing that I ever found. There won't nothing bring you down like your hometown. Oh, sugar, won't nothing bring you down like your hometown. Thanks so much. So the highest point on that property that he talked about is a spot called Pond Ridge. It's a mountaintop that happens to have an indention that basically forms a pond on the very top of the highest point of our property, so it's a unique spot. Our grandfather told us a story about a tragic incident that happened back when he was a child in the 1940s. Russ and I got together to write this song. We couldn't quite remember the full story, so we finished the story. We couldn't get a hold of our grandfather at the time. After we wrote it, we got clarification on the story and decided to keep it the way it was. I like to say it's about 89% true. So this is about an 89% true story. But this song is called Pond Ridge. I wasn't looking for trouble. I wasn't looking for nothing. I was just trying to get away, maybe do a little wandering, lift my pickup truck out where the road ends. But looking back now, I wish I'd have just got back in. Now I've seen things I wish I hadn't, and I've been scared, but not like that. I'd never seen evil or looked it in the eyes, but I'm pretty sure I did that night up on Pond Ridge. Yeah, up on Pond Ridge. I could see a little campfire down towards the lake, so I took off walking that way. Thought I heard somebody crying, thought it might have been a fight. It's probably none of my business, but something just didn't seem right. Now I've seen things I wish I hadn't, yeah, and I've been scared, but not like that. I never seen evil or looked it in the eyes, but I'm pretty sure I did that night up on Pond Ridge. Shots rang out, I shoulda cut and run. She was barely still breathing, and nothing else could be done. See, her folks would have nothing, her loving a black man in the South. They had to be together forever, the only way that they knew how. Now I've seen things I wish I hadn't. Oh, and I've been scared, oh, but not like that. I'd never seen evil or looked it in the eyes, but I'm pretty sure I did that night up on Pond Ridge. Yeah, up on Pond Ridge. Thank you so much. I mentioned my grandfather telling us that story. He was a huge influence on us growing up. He played a lot of music around the house, was always playing, you know, old Johnny Cash songs, Hank Williams songs, bluegrass standards, and old gospel songs. And he had a song that he always played called Dragging the River that I loved, and I never really knew whose song that was, so I asked my dad one day, that song that Granddad always used to sing called Dragging the River, whose song is that? He said, well, that's one of his original songs that he had written. Obviously, I was floored, and when us Garrett Boys decided we were going to put this thing together, we thought we should make a version of it our own and add it to our repertoire, and it turns out it'll be the first single that we release, and that'll be out October the 3rd, coming up here in just a few weeks. So make sure you go find it, and again, this one's called Dragging the River. Well, I'm going on a long, lonesome journey. I won't even bother to pack. He said one-way trip that I'll be taking. Yeah, I'm going, but I won't be coming back. Oh, Lord knows I'm going, but I won't be coming back. Hey, and they'll drag in the river tomorrow, from the bridge down to the old pine trees. Yeah, they'll drag in that deep, muddy water, but they won't find nothing of me. Oh, Lord knows they won't find nothing of me. Yeah, play it, son. Now don't say my name, just forget it. Erase all those old memories. How yesterday's gone, just regret it. 'Cause tomorrow it never can be. Oh, Lord knows tomorrow it never can be. Hey, and they'll drag in the river tomorrow, from the bridge down to the old pine trees. Yeah, they'll drag in that deep, muddy water, but they won't find nothing of me. Yeah, 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 now. And they'll drag in the river tomorrow, from the bridge down Thank you.
That's what you call a pregnant close.
Yeah,
There's
we
the
tricked you
pregnant
there on that
pause.
one.
Yeah, that was a trick. Nice job. That's great
Thanks.
songs. Yeah,
Thanks.
really enjoying it. Our guests this evening on Red Barn Radio are Garrett Boys, and they're from the Volunteer State, Tennessee, Livingston, Tennessee in particular, and they'll tell us more about that place and particularly that farm, which seems to play large in your lives and shaped you in lots of ways we'll talk about. Garrett Boys are Stephen, who's been singing and talking. His son Carter is to his left and is playing the mandolin, and his brother Carter's uncle, Russell, is to his right on the bass. And they are also joined by Keith Sewell on banjo, fiddle, and dobro. And it's great to have you guys here.
Yeah. Keith's our honorary Garrett boy today.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, Keith. Nice. So, is this, in fact, your debut album coming up?
It is, yeah.
Well, all right.
Yeah, it's taken us a while to get here, but we kind of wanted to do it right, and we wanted to kind of do it old school and make an entire album. We felt like that was the work that we had put together and what we wanted to do. So it's taken us a while to get there, but we're finally there, ready to put out our album.
So what's old school about that is you mean that you.
We didn't just start with a song, put it out there, and see what happened. We went and recorded a full-length album before we ever decided to release anything. That's what I would call sort of the old school approach versus
Yeah.
now everybody kind of puts a song out there and sees what sticks and then maybe tries another one. And but we went ahead and recorded it. The whole thing's in the can, ready to go.
And a lot of times what people do now too, though, is they create a whole album of songs and then just trickle them out.
We'll do that part, but
Yeah.
But we went ahead and we wanted a whole cohesive sound as opposed to going in and doing a song and then, maybe a few months later going back and recording another one with a different set of,
Yeah.
players or whatever. So we wanted a cohesive sound and vibe, and so that's what we were going for.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So then was part of the plan also that you guys would get out and find audiences and learn more about the kinds of things that audiences enjoyed specifically about what you do?
Yeah,
And
I
did
think
that
so.
help
I mean,
shape some
yeah,
of what you did?
I think so. I mean, there was a little bit of a chicken or egg there for sure. Once we started playing shows, everybody wanted music, and so there was a little bit of like, it's coming, I promise. But yeah, for sure. But I mean, in a lot of ways, this record was about our family and our family history. All of the songs on this record have a real direct link and tie to family. Many of them are family stories, as you've already heard a couple of those. So there was an element of this when we started writing it and putting it together that we kind of did it more for us than anything.
Yeah.
Sort of that I don't know, outlaw country kind of vibe of like, we're gonna do this. If you like it, great. If not, we're still gonna do it.
We're still family.
Yeah, right. And if nothing else, it's something we can, like our grandfather and those before him passed down these stories through our family. This will be something else in the annals of Garrett history that will go to continue to tell those stories.
Yeah. And you all did other things, other musical things before Garrett Boys.
Yeah.
Can you talk some about that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I left home went a couple hours away to Nashville. Russ and I both did to go after the endeavor of music, and we worked in the music business in a lot of different areas.
Talk about how old were you when you all left Livingston?
Yeah, well, we left for
to
college. We both left to go to Belmont University there
okay.
in Nashville. So we went there and started that adventure there. I ended up working for years as a booking agent, like way behind the scenes in the music world. Did a lot of studio work at the same time. Would go and sing demos in the studios there in Nashville a lot. And that kept me super busy. And then Russ, he kind of got to see the world a bit traveling as a touring tech guy, and really seriously have seen the whole world at this point. I mean,
Music tech?
Yeah, guitar teching and audio engineering, and right out of Belmont, I started doing that, and have been privileged to work for a lot of great artists. And like Steven said, I've been to all 50 states and 30-something countries. I kind of lost count, but
Yeah,
it's
tell
been
us
a lot of fun.
Yeah, who are some of the artists that you worked with as a guitar tech or?
Yeah, when I first started out in audio, I was working for mostly Christian bands. I worked for Stephen Curtis Chapman, Chris Tomlin, Third Day, and then I sort of, not necessarily on purpose, but sort of transitioned into more folk and country. I toured with Steve Earl, who was obviously one of our heroes, and that was a super special thing for me. I got to go all over the world with him, and that was pretty cool. And
Is that how that relationship was?
That's how it
cemented?
started. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And
You always talked about how cool it was to see the world with him as like your tour guide, who's so read up and knowledgeable.
yeah,
about
Steve is so
history.
knowledgeable about history and art and culture and all these things on our days off. And I remember us walking around Rome for hours and seeing all the sites. And Steve is so well read. We would visit these famous sites, and it was like having a personal tour guide. He would just tell the history and all that stuff. And those were some days that I look back on really fondly. And then more recently, I was out with Luke Bryan as his guitar tech. I toured with him for 11 years, and that was really special too, because we, over that amount of time, we became pretty close, and that whole crew and band is like family. So, yeah.
Met Keith working with the Chicks.
Met Keith out working with the Chicks. Yep, that was one I forgot to mention, but
As in the Dixie ones?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Tell us something about being a guitar tech that might surprise us.
Some people don't. Some people are aware of it because they see somebody bringing the guitar out in the middle of the show. Some people aren't, but most artists or certain artists have guitar techs who will be tuning during the show, side of stage, tuning, and then bringing guitars out between songs and doing guitar changes. And it's sort of my job to fix something if it breaks, and to have a plan A and a plan B and a plan C for if something were to go wrong.
Something ready in the bullpen.
Yeah, there's like on the Luke tour, I mean, we had like probably 30 plus crew guys. There's a whole army of backstage techs, whether it's lighting, video, automation, backline. And, a lot of people don't really realize that exists because they don't necessarily see it from the seats,
But those techs, that part of the team, I would think, would not have the kind of intimate relationship you would establish with artists when you're actually handling their instruments and.
It varies from
Right?
gig to gig and tour to tour, but you're exactly right. Usually you kind of develop a rapport when you work that directly with somebody, and that's one of the sort of perks of the job.
And especially the main man with the guitar. Like you would go on shows that nobody else, even the band, wouldn't go on.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of cool. It'd be like you and Luke and a few other people on a private jet going somewhere. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I would kind of tell people I go anywhere his guitar goes. So if his guitar's going, I'll be there.
And were you in charge of kind of shepherding the instruments?
Yeah.
Making sure you knew where they were, that they were cared for, handled properly, all of that stuff.
Absolutely, and then setting them up, tearing them down before and after the show, loading them into the semi, all of that stuff was part of the job.
Huh. So, Russell, did you study, what did you study at Belmont?
I studied music business, but more specifically like a production emphasis. You can kind of specialize in different areas there at Belmont, and I studied mainly audio engineering there. Never really studied guitar teching. That's just something I sort of picked up by being a player and growing up around instruments and sort of fell into. But I really started out as an audio engineer, and that's what I was studying there at Belmont.
Were you a non-traditional student, or are these days you're talking about right out of high school?
Right out of high school.
Oh, okay.
And I went to Belmont for 2.5 years. I didn't graduate. I started just getting offers to go on the road and started doing little tours, and that kind of got in the way of school. And I finally figured out I'd rather just, go for it than keep going to school.
What did you arrive at Belmont with in terms of experience? And
Just growing up, being like, as he said, our dad and grandfather were super musical and big influences. They both wrote songs and performed a lot, and we performed with them from a very early age. And then Stephen and I, growing up, we sang in church. We had little bands, whether it was cover bands or bands when we started writing original songs. So we kind of always, done music, but I didn't really have any what you would call professional, technical or music experience really until I got to Belmont. But Belmont's great about it. There's a lot of opportunities at Belmont that they sort of plug you in to you know, industry stuff, and you know, you really get a hands-on, real-life sort of training there for how to do all this stuff.
We thought we knew plenty when we got there.
Yeah.
Huh. How about you, Stephen? What was your experience like at Belmont? What did you go there specifically for?
Yeah, I studied more the managerial business side of it. You know, there I would take classes like record label operations, music publishing, you know, that kind of side of it more than the kind of the technical side.
Huh.
I mean, for me, it was probably more about relationships, just people that I built there. I mentioned the booking agency job that I had for years. I met those folks during that time through like internship and that kind of thing. So that was probably more about relationships for me there. But it also gave me a good steady foundation, even though the music business is always changing and is a lot different than it was back then. But, it gave me a good foundation to kind of understand the history of the music industry.
Yeah, yeah. All right, and so then before you all decided on sort of establishing Garrett Boys, you were out playing, or maybe this is while you were building the Garrett Boy project.
Yeah, I mean,
were you out doing cover tunes?
Well, no, I mean, I was always writing songs. I mean, I came to Belmont, writing songs, and we participated in like the showcases they had there. We sort of were picked as the winner. I was picked as the winner of the songwriter showcase there my senior year, and got to do the best of the best showcase and all that kind of stuff. So we were always sort of doing music, but just always sort of thought of it as just something we were going to do on the side, something we would just kind of do for fun. But especially like right before COVID and during COVID, we really started ramping up. I started writing a couple songs, and we wrote a couple songs that were sort of deeper than we'd ever gone before personally, as it relates to some of these songs that are on the record. Mm-hmm. And they started to kind of come together in a cohesive kind of way, and we started to go, well, now maybe there's something different there. I'd made a record years ago that I put out just completely independently, and we started talking about maybe there's a Garrett group here that we should go after. And I mean, especially during COVID, hours-long phone conversations about like, maybe we could do this and maybe we could do that, and and that's where it's kind of got birthed during that time. And at that time, Carter was going to the Nashville School of the Arts there in Nashville studying guitar.
What's the Nashville
It's like a magnet school there in Nashville, part of the public school system.
Oh, okay.
And you like audition to be able to get accepted into it, and so he was learning guitar there, doing normal schoolwork too, but part of his day was learning guitar. And he started to pick up the mandolin some a bit. So he was listening in on some of these phone conversations, and I would make a demo and he would lay something down with it, and he's kind of slowly started creeping in as a potential member of Garrett Boys here. So
yeah.
All
right. Well, we'll talk some more with Carter, and also meet Keith as well when we chat again in a little bit. Let's welcome back Garrett Boys to Red Barn Radio.
Thanks. Yeah, this is probably a good segue from that conversation. This is a song called "Who I Am." It was inspired probably when we were down in the Garrett Cemetery laying to rest my grandmother, who was a great influence on us as well. And I saw these headstones of names on them that were in these Garrett family stories that were passed down almost like a Hall of Fame. And I'd heard somebody say that before music was about Billboard charts and ticket sales and getting radio play, music was the sound of the land and the song of its people. And that really resonated with me with all that we were talking about and going through. And so this is sort of about that, and this is sort of our attempt to be the sound of the land and the song of our people. This is called "Who I Am." 1, 2, 3.
Lord knows I've done some rambling. These wells have carried me far beyond these hills of Tennessee. In some ways it seems like gambling. It's all that I can be to keep those days from sneaking up on me. 'Cause who I am ain't what I was when I thought I hadn't seen enough. Scared of giving in or giving up. Standing way down in this cove now, I can hear an echo, and it's rising up from some time long ago. And I'm coming around what's lasting is built on something deep, raised out of sacrifice, and that ain't cheap. Oh, but I hear things in passing, this talk of running free. Yeah, there's a price to be paid for anything. 'Cause who I am ain't what I was when I thought I hadn't seen enough. Scared of giving in or giving up. Standing way down in this cold, now I can hear an echo, and it's rising up from some time long ago. Yeah, I'm coming around who I am. I'm coming around to who I am. Yeah. What's in a place? What's in a name? Take a man from where he came, and something will remain. What's in this place? What's in this name? This land from where I came. I swear something still remains. Something still remains. 'Cause who I am ain't what I was when I thought I hadn't seen enough. Scared to death of giving in or giving up. Standing way down in this cold, now I can hear an echo, and it's rising up from some time long ago. Yeah, I'm coming around to who I am. I'm coming around to who I am. Thanks. Yeah, so the first Garrett boy that came to Overton County was Jacob Garrett. He left North Carolina a couple hundred years ago and settled in an area of Overton County. Land records say he acquired land between Mill Creek and Mitchell Creek, and that's the area and land that Russ and I grew up on, and that Carter and I just moved back to. Russ and I consider ourselves lucky to grow up on that land. We fished its ponds and hunted its squirrel and flipped a few four-wheelers in our day on that property and lived to tell about it. So we consider ourselves lucky to have grown up there in a little part-time farm up in Overton County. And that's what this song is about. It's called Me and This Land. Caught my share of catfish in all these little ponds. Over time we let them go, and now they're almost gone. Guess I'll always have the memories of these hills and growing up. Lately I've been wondering if that's gonna be enough. Maybe it's just dirt, maybe they're just trees. Maybe I'm just romanticizing history and the way things used to be. Now, to be honest, I'm not sure I even understand, but there's something between me and this land. Raised up in this cabin a great-granddaddy built by hand. Those winters wasn't easy, but they made me who I am. Hauling hay and feeding horses, fixing fences, cutting wood. Yeah, things I swore I hated, now I'd do them if I could. And maybe it's just dirt, maybe they're just trees. Maybe I'm just romanticizing history and the way things used to be. Now, to be honest, I'm not sure I even understand, but there's something between me and this land. For 6 generations, this deed has held our name. Blood, sweat, and tears, did they all fall in vain? There's an auction sign out by the road, yeah, and here I stand, the one letting go. And maybe it's just dirt, maybe they're just trees, maybe I'm just romanticizing history and the way things used to be. Now, to be honest, I'm not sure I even understand. There's something between me and this land. Oh Lord, there's something between me and this land. Thank you. This next song we're going to do is the album title of the record. There were a few options out there for the record title, and we just felt like this one made the most sense because it just kind of covers it all. But this is a song that covers, you know, the influences that our dad had on us. He loved to fish, and we used to tag along with him. Now we love to fish. Our grandfather and him both loved music. They got us guitars we learned, and now we love music. And then a story that we heard growing up about our great-grandfather, who was very gentle and soft-spoken, but when it came to family, got tough if he needed to. So this is called It Runs Deep. Now there's a spot just out the mouth of Mitchell Creek where the grass and the red mud meet. You'd find Daddy underneath that summer moon, making them smallmouth feed out where it runs deep. Yeah, and it runs deep. Deeper than a Carter Creek Canyon and further than the boat dock road. Way down the roots of this family tree to the core of me. Yeah, oh, it runs deep. Yeah, it runs deep. Granddad gave me my first 6-string, and I'd take it down to old Jack's place. It was Whiskey River every Saturday night. Sunday morning was Amazing Grace, and it runs deep. How deeper than a Carter Creek Canyon, further than the boat dock road. Way down the roots of this family tree to the core of me. Yeah, how it runs deep. My great-granddaddy was a gentleman, but he always wore an old buck knife. The night Billy hit his sister, he put that blade within an inch of that poor boy's life, and it runs deep. It runs deep now. Yeah, it runs runs deep now. It runs deeper than a Cotter Creek Canyon and further than the Boat Dock Road. Way down the roots of this family tree to the core of me. How deeper than a Cotter Creek Canyon and further than the Boat Dock Road. Way down the roots of this family tree to the core of me. It runs deep. How it runs deep.
All right. Hey, before we get on with more music, I'd like to take a moment to remind listeners that Red Barn live streams, both tonight's and on any Wednesday, remain available online for you to view at your convenience, along with live audio streams, compliments of WGAD.net in Central New York. Don't miss a single episode of this program, and be sure to tell your friends and share what it is that you like about Red Barn Radio. And there's something else you got to tell your friends about, which is that we have a store now that is open, and every day more product is rolling in. The big Mack trucks are pulling in. Let me just share with you a couple of items that we have. I've shown you the mug before. You've all seen this. This is a coffee mug. Probably all seen these before, but you have probably not seen a Red Barn Radio coffee mug. It makes coffee taste extra good. And we also have this new item. Well, I guess I have to take the headphones off to try it on. Does it get fit? Does it work, Nick? Does it work? All right. I like to bend the brim a little bit. It's kind of a trucker style lid. It's got the high brim on it. The vented back area here for you sweaters. Yeah, these are products that we don't just sell. These are products that we use here on Red Barn Radio. We urge you to visit our store so you can have some of your own. You can find a direct link on our Facebook page, the Red Barn Radio main page, and also in our weekly newsletter. So click the link for a fun way to support the show with official Red Barn Radio merchandise that you can give to friends during this holiday giving season, soon upon us. In a couple of weeks, I'm sure the Christmas decorations will start to go up, I would think, right? Certainly before Halloween. Our guest next week, it's an Americana grit folk band born from the Rust Belt and rooted in redemption. Smilo and the Ghost is fronted by singer-songwriter Tyler Smilo, and their sound fuses folk, alt, country, and soul with deep emotional bite. They're formed in Erie, Pennsylvania in 2016. Smilo and the Ghost have shared stages with Grammy winners, national acts, and underground legends alike. They're more than a band. Smilo and the Ghost is a movement of misfits, musicians, and truth-tellers, they say. Whether it's on stage or on the record, the band invites you to feel something real and maybe even find a piece of yourself in the process. Their newest record's called Twang and Fire. And your homework this week, folks, is to, after you visit the store, is to give Twang and Fire a listen and then tell everybody how excited they should be to join us next Wednesday for Smilo and the Ghost here on Red Barn Radio. Now let's welcome back Garrett Boys for some more music.
Woohoo! Thanks. Well, if you grew up in the upper Cumberland area in Overton County, where we did, especially long before us at the turn of the century, early 1900s, like some of our ancestors, making a living sometimes was difficult. Sometimes folks had to rely on government assistance, things like government commodities and things like that. It was no different for our ancestors. Also, sometimes it would lead folks to an entrepreneurial endeavor that might run a little bit sideways with the local law enforcement, if you know what I might mean. Our folks weren't too good at it, but it didn't mean that they wouldn't try. So one story goes that after the head man had the still up and running, was pretty proud of what was going on, so he sent one of the kids back to the house to get some snacks. When they came back with crackers and cheese, he leaned up against the tree and stuck his chest out and said, "Boys, we're making Wildcat whiskey on the government cheese." We thought that should be a song, so here it is. It's called Wildcat Whiskey.
Well, now time's been tough, yeah, there ain't no doubt. Standing in a line with my hand held out. Be a heap ashamed that he saw me this way, but what's a man to do? Ain't no brick to be laid. Make some Wildcat whiskey. Make a little Wildcat whiskey. I tell you, life ain't easy, but it sure is sweet. Making Wildcat whiskey on the government cheese. Come on. Well, now fishbone clearance keeps a running that mouth. Pretty soon they're gonna have to find a new route. Dog Walker Road, banner covered in fuzz and running out. They'd be begging for a bust, making Wildcat whiskey. Make a little Wildcat whiskey. Move a little Wildcat whiskey now. Run a little Wildcat whiskey. I tell you, life ain't easy, but it sure is sweet. Making Wildcat whiskey on the government cheese. Say an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Should he come sneaking round, what's the sheriff gonna say? To a steady lookout with an old 10 gauge. Slid a common rail from 50 feet away. Making Wildcat whiskey. Make a little Wildcat whiskey. Run a little Wildcat whiskey now. Make a little Wildcat whiskey. I tell you, life ain't easy, but it sure is sweet. Making Wildcat whiskey on the government cheese. I'll play us one, Keith. They say an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Should he come sneaking round, what's the sheriff gonna say? To a steady lookout with an old 10 gauge. Slid a common rail from 50 feet away. Making Wildcat whiskey. Make a little Wildcat whiskey. Run a little hog eye whiskey now. Make a little Wildcat whiskey. I tell you, life ain't easy, but it sure is sweet. Making Wildcat whiskey on the government cheese. We're making Wildcat whiskey on the government cheese. All right. Thanks. Well, we did a song earlier that our grandfather had written, but our dad also was really influential in our music, and he was always writing songs and creating new music, and introduced us to sort of a more swampy, newer version of rock and roll and blues and that kind of stuff. And but he sent us a song one day out of the blue. I got a text. Video text from my dad, and it was a video of him singing this song. It was a song that he had wanted to write for a long time. It was a story of how his grandfather used to ride the timber logs back early in the 1900s. And the way that would work is, back then they didn't have large trucks and cranes and that kind of thing to pull the logs out in those rural areas. So what they would do is cut the trees on the hillside, roll them down into the creeks and rivers, wait for them to rise high enough, and they would band them together like rafts, and they would ride the rafts all the way down to the mill, sometimes 100 miles. It was extremely treacherous, extremely dangerous. Many people lost their lives, but people were desperate for work.
my dad's grandfather told him a story about riding the timber rafts from where we grew up near Monroe, Tennessee, all the way to Nashville, and he walked back, which is about a 2 or 3 day walk, would be about a 2-hour drive, which is fascinating to me considering that I'm already a little winded up here just playing these songs. So we like to pay homage to those who have gone before us to do difficult things so that we don't have to anymore. And this is a Marty Garrett original, and it's called Ride the Timber Down. He said 21, but his face said 17 when he asked to ride the timber down the Obie River to Salina, Tennessee, on to Granville, and all the way to Nashville town. Ride the timber down, look out past Boone, there are plenty of good men drown. Ride the timber down, don't let the rope get slack, better have a good man on the back when you ride the timber down. You could hardly hear his voice over the axe and crosscut saws as the trees fell on the wilder mountainside. There's a log jam on the West Fork, but the water's moving fast. Soon it's time to let the timber ride. Ride the timber down, look out past Boone, there are plenty of good men drown. Ride the timber down, don't let the rope get slack, better have a good man on the back when you ride the timber down. Hush fell on the crew as he called the men to rise. Name of Robbins, name of Little, name of Jones. He said, we'll clear the wolf by morning and we'll tame the water wild. Otherwise they'll never find our bones. Ride the timber down, look out past Boone, there are plenty of good men drown. Ride the timber down, don't let the rope get slack, better have a good man on the back when you ride the timber down. Ride the timber down, look out past Boone, there are plenty of good men drown. Ride the timber down, don't let the rope get slack, better put a good man on the back when you ride the timber down. Thanks. It's a Marty Garrett original, everybody. This next song is the song that I'd written a while ago, there was a sort of a thing that occurred when I was a teenager back home, this small county, rural area, more rural than where we grew up, had a plant closure that the plant employed a large percentage of the folks in that little town and in that county. The plant went and moved overseas to find cheaper labor. And it was just a devastating event that occurred for that area and those folks. I mean, it's hard to get to anywhere from there. And all of a sudden they wake up one day and, I mean, complete families worked at this factory. And it was gone. And like I said, it was just devastating. And so in this day where, I don't know, I feel like I hear a lot of vilifying of the poor, it doesn't sit well with me because I grew up around the working poor. I grew up around those who were poor but worked harder than any of us will ever work in our lives. And so that just doesn't sit well with me because many times it's just people put in difficult situations that have difficult decisions to make. And so that's what this song is about here. It's called God-Forsaken Town. These blisters on my fingers, ain't that what makes me a man? I just want to earn an honest pay, but I'm not sure I can. "10 years at 60 hours a week has turned these hands to stone. And I did all they ever asked of me, and now the plant's just up and gone. And we go round and round and around, just trying to make a living in this God-forsaken town. There's two choices here in front of me: do all I can to save this home, or pack up everything we have and leave all we've ever known. And we go around and around and around, just trying to make a living in this God-forsaken town. We all go to church on Sundays, do our best to pray the right things. We give what we can when the plate comes, not sure what tomorrow brings. And we go round and round and around, and we go round and round and around, just trying to make a living in this God-forsaken town. Yeah, we're just trying to make a living in this God-forsaken town. Thanks.
Beautiful. Wow, what a beautiful song. So we've met Garrett Boys, Stephen and Russell, brothers, and we've introduced Carter, but really not talked with him much. Carter, so appreciated your contribution this evening. Love what you're doing on the mandolin and the color you bring, and both you and Keith. I wonder if you could talk some about your time at this, was it charter school kind of an arrangement? Yeah, talk to us about your decision to go there and, what you hoped to get.
Yeah.
And, sort of what you went out and got on your own.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, coming out of middle school, going into high school, I knew, because of the fact that music has kind of always been around in the family,
Yeah.
that I wanted to do something along those lines, but I didn't really know what yet. I had some interest in the guitar, was playing a little bit of guitar. In middle school, I was in orchestra and actually played upright bass in a more classical sense. So I made the decision kind of last minute to audition for Nashville School of the Arts, and I auditioned for guitar, and I also auditioned for upright bass, and I got in for both of them, but I ended up choosing the guitar route. And mostly what that looked like on a day-to-day basis was I had guitar classes with a guitar teacher, and then I would also have music theory alongside just the normal school stuff that you would do.
Sure.
But I think the thing there that impacted me the most is, for one, learning more about the mathematics behind music and taking music theory. But then also, my senior year, we did a lot of songwriting, and we did a lot of I actually had a new guitar teacher there. His name was Ryan Murphy, and he's son of Michael Martin Murphy. So he had a lot of experience playing in a family band and singing with his dad, which is exactly what I get to do. And I just learned kind of how to be in a band, and then also learned about the studio side of things. So I was in an audio engineering class in high school, which doesn't happen a lot. So I got to record some original music and then record some covers. But I think slowly through that time, I just started picking up on, he'd already started writing some of these songs. And I just kind of became more and more interested in doing this kind of thing. Instead of being a front man, I was a front man in a lot of bands in high school, but I learned pretty quickly that I didn't really want to do that. I wanted to be in the background a little bit more, but still contribute. So it was a really cool experience getting to learn how to be in a band, how to set up things, how to just do all kinds of different things around music. And then it gave me a lot of cool opportunities. I got to perform at the Bluebird by myself before I even knew what the Bluebird Cafe was. And I got in the midst of some really awesome songwriters. And then that just instilled, I just kind of have slowly been learning what this could look like. And it's kind of how this is shaped up. I didn't really know, I don't think any of us really knew what this was going to be at first. And it's kind of shaped into being a family band about family things. And I'm definitely more interested in the passing the stories down to the future generations and kind of setting in stone what the generations before us have left for us, and being able to pass that down is really important. And I've gotten really into the history of my family, and I'm learning it through these songs and through this project. So it's been really awesome.
Yeah, even though Carter's the youngest, he's sort of become the band historian, the family historian in short order, for sure.
My son is doing that in our family as well. He's taken that on.
Yeah.
Huh. When people come and visit here, we have a lot of friends in the Northeast. When they come to visit, we always point them down to Nashville, and specifically to Bluebird, and they're like, why specifically there? And I just say to them, it's just because it's a one-of-a-kind experience.
Absolutely.
Especially, friends of mine who are really into the lyric and really want to hear people who write songs. And I'm like, you'll never go to another bar where you're not allowed to chat during the program, and there's a lot of respect given to the people who are there to share what they're doing, and that's pretty special. You had a chance to do that as a young person. Yeah. Well, thanks. Keith, the other Garrett boy, the honorary Garrett boy. Keith, would you mind stepping up to Carter's microphone there and tell us about you and how you learned to play all these things so good?
Oh, well, I don't know about that, but kind of a jack of all trades and a master of none. Do play a lot of instruments, probably guitar and mandolin are probably my number one, my main instruments. But I met Russ, like he said. I've been with the Dixie. I've been their band leader and guitar player for 22 years.
Oh, come on!
And so, and I've toured with some other artists as well. Just in the band, and we kind of got into a bind in Europe, and his name was highly recommended, and that's how I met him. He came over and bailed us out for like 8 shows because we had a medical emergency with one of our techs.
Oh, I got you. I got you.
Yeah. And we met over there, and then we got to be friends, and then he started telling me about his project and playing me some music, and I was blown away, as y'all are.
Yeah.
It's great
Yes,
songs
we are.
and great singing, and so he had asked me to maybe if I'd be interested in doing a few dates with him, which I did, and here I am, and I hope we get to do it some more. It's been fun.
Sure.
Yeah, and so you're still employed by the Dixie
When they're
Chick
touring, I
Corporation?
am. We're doing a few things next year, but mainly I'm working with Rodney Crowell right now. I'm his lead guitar player, and I moved to town in 1990. Moved to Nashville in 1990. I started working with Ricky Skaggs. I was his electric player in his country band before he kind of went bluegrass in '97. So I was with him for like 7 years, and I just kind of, I'm kind of like I'm an old guy. I may not look it, but
We're
I am.
lucky to have him. Played with
No, you
Marty-
don't look it. You look great.
Played with Marty Stewart too. We big
Yep.
fans of Marty, and
Yep.
he just keeps dropping names on us that are like, oh, we love that
Played
guy.
with him, too,
So
and
now we
him,
know
and
why
him.
we like you playing in our band.
Yeah, and so when he says jack of all trades, master of none, do you kind of roll eyes a little
bit.
back
We-
there? Yeah,
yeah,
I'm rolling eyes.
Yeah.
No, you're a wonderful player.
Well, thank you very
And,
much. I
Yeah,
appreciate
love
that. Thank you.
love what you bring to this project.
Well,
And-
I'm a big fan of these guys, and they're the real deal, and I'm hoping that much success for them, and they deserve it because they're just great people.
Yeah.
Not only do they have what it takes musically and lyrically and writing wise, they're just awesome guys too. So I know that probably comes across, but just want y'all to know it's the real deal.
It does come across, and so, well, let's go back to the farm because I gather your awesomeness comes in part from the values you learned there.
Yeah.
And it's what grounds you, and makes you calm, makes you enjoy your other and appreciate and love your family and love where you grew up, right? Your roots. But before we go to the poignant part, I do want to hear you talk about the 11% of that truth that you fictionalized in that Pond Ridge song. Would you mind going back to that?
Well,
I'm still there. I'm kind of fascinated by that. The idea of this peak in the pond on top.
Yeah, it's a real unique place. Carter
Yeah.
and I, it's really tough to get to. Carter and I drove up there. Russ has walked up there hunting in years past, but Carter and I just recently drove up there. And it had been really dry, so the pond had basically emptied, but the pond was just full of this green moss, and there were green grasses everywhere, where everything else was almost sort of brown. And it was fascinating. The ground was kind of real soft where we walked, and we joked that it was like we were on another planet in a Star Wars episode or something, and some Ewok or something was about to jump out. It was sort of an interesting experience that we had up there. But the story basically goes is there was a young boy and a young girl in their teenage years and it was a sort of a murder-suicide
Yeah.
scenario that came out of the blue, and nobody, I mean, it's still a mystery to this day. You know, tons of, there were people that sort of have conspiracies about it, that maybe it wasn't what it seemed to be, but it appeared to be a boy and a girl who wasn't even known to be dating or a love interest or anything like that. And so it's still to this day, you know, 100, you know, nearly 75 years later or whatever, nearly 100 years later, still quite a mystery. So we changed who the characters were a little bit, but certainly still came across in some form or fashion. But part of it is that nobody really knows the real story, you know, as to why. And so we filled that part in a little bit.
You gotta let the mystery be there.
Yeah.
So what'd you learn growing up on a farm? You talked about that some in the song that you did, Me and This Land.
Yeah.
Talk about some of the things that you learned growing up on a farm, and in particular, what'd you learn you've taken into your adulthood, and then maybe even more specifically, what you brought to your artistic life.
Yeah.
Because, you know, Keith says, you know, Keith, this great player, says he wants to be part of what you're doing because of the integrity of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are a couple dynamics. One, obviously, is a work ethic that gets instilled when you just got to do the work around the farm. I think anybody that's been on a farm probably experiences that. You know, and that you just do what has to be done. I mean, I remember my dad putting on his clothes, going out to feed hay to the cattle when there was 3 feet of snow on the ground, and he certainly didn't want to go out, but he had to go do it. You know, sometimes we'd get somebody stopping by the house saying, "Your cows are out down there," and we'd have to run and drop everything we were doing. We were actually playing a concert, like a little local concert, and we just wrapped up, and my grandfather came up and said one of the cows were having trouble having calves, and so we had to just leave our instruments, run down there and take care of the cow and the calf in that very moment. So it just instilled that kind of work ethic, I think, you know, something that I don't think I appreciated at the time. As the song says, you know, we gathered wood, cut wood, and did that difficult work and cleared fence rows. And man, I hated doing it back then, but now I kind of wish I wish I could. And we've just moved back to the land, so we're going to get to experience that and figure out how much of that was romanticized and how much it we do really like. So I'll get back to you on it.
And when you were kids, it was like ho hum.
Oh.
Or was it even worse than that?
No, it was worse than that. I mean, we grew up in a cabin that had a wood stove for our heat, didn't have central heat and air, so every fall, man, we had to go out and stack that wood and get that wood, and we'd rather be playing basketball or football or doing anything else but gathering that wood, but we had to do it, so it instilled a work ethic for us to just, you know, do what we had to do. The other piece of it was just family. I mean, we were on, you know, the land, but then across from us were, you know, my grandpa's cousin, our cousins had a farm across the road. We'd help them with their tobacco. We'd help them with their fences. They'd help us with ours. So there was just a family element too, if you just jump in and help everybody in the community. Even since then, we've seen a lot of photos and things like that from way back when. And you know, it was a lot of pictures of the community, people that weren't necessarily even kin. We even have folks that aren't kinfolk in the Garrett Cemetery that are just people from the community that were really, you know, even though they weren't blood kin, they were family in some form or fashion. So I think those are the two main aspects, just that work ethic and the understanding of family and community, and just helping those around us when they need it.
Mm-hmm. So both you and Russell have alluded to the role of church in your growing up and where you learned music. You involved yourself with Christian artists for a time, but you know, your music and your lyrics are sort of rife with value, like values and I guess not so much morality, it doesn't feel to me, but certainly a lot of values.
Yeah.
Is there some intention for you guys behind sort of steering away from sort of integrating sort of biblical language and those sorts of things? Is there some intention behind that?
I don't know that I would say intention. I mean, I think we grew up in a church where, it was more about values than sort of browbeating, in the churches we kind of grew up in. I mean,
Community.
Certainly a gospel-centric message there, but, it's just people being family, a community being family,
Yeah.
and I think that gets missed a little bit these days, and so no, I mean, it's not nothing intentional. I mean, it's just like growing up, like one of the songs says, it was Whiskey River every Saturday night and Sunday morning was Amazing Grace. My dad was he was the song leader at our little Baptist church, but he might be out playing in his Southern rock band the night before and then be there to lead the choir the next morning. So it was just kind of integrated into who we were, but it wasn't anything that we, nothing that we're doing specifically that we try to stay away from or go toward. We're just writing what comes out.
I would love to hear you talk a little bit more before we get back to music about your relationship with Steve Earl and Russell. You told the story great about traveling with him and his breadth of knowledge about history and how well read he is. And your music, your music just nods to Steve Earl in like every way for me, and I don't mean in a copying kind of way. I mean just there's a lot of respect for Steve Earl that comes across in your singing and your playing and even your song topics, though Steve gets a little more political. So anyway, I'm kind of curious to know how it is that you happen to have him sing on the new album and on the song. Which song was it that he sings in?
He's on Back Home.
In Back Home, right?
Yeah. Okay. And it really started when I was out with Stephen Curtis Chapman, and a good friend of mine, one of our other guitar techs, had not only worked for Steve in the past, but actually had been an intern at Steve's label, E Squared Records, back in the day that he had with Ray. And so I kind of, planted the seed with Brian. I said, man, if you ever hear of Steve needing a guy, you let me know, because I would love to work for him, And just as luck would have it, sometimes it happens this way. I was just finishing a tour, and Brian comes up and said, hey, man, I just got a call from Steve's tour manager, and they need a guitar tech monitor engineer for this tour they're coming up. Are you interested? And I said, absolutely, I'm interested. And so, that's what started the relationship. And like I said, I've told part of the story already. We toured all over the States and all over the Europe and the UK. And I got to actually tech in the studio on Steve's album, The Low Highway. And that's how I first met Ray Kennedy, who's produced most of Steve's albums. And a lot of the ones that are our favorite records of all time were albums that Ray produced. And so that kind of just started the relationship, but then I went on to do other things and other tours, and we started doing this Garrett Boys thing and started, thinking about what it would sound like and what it would look like and what we wanted it to sound like. And Ray Kennedy was sort of at the top of the list of like people that we wanted to work with, because we were such huge fans of him and Steve and had been for years. So I reached out to Ray. It had been a few years or more since we had spoken or seen each other, but he remembered me, and I sent him a song or two, and he liked it enough to get back to me and agree to work with us. Excuse me. And that's kind of how that relationship started. And then it was really Ray that, as we were working on the album, we started talking about maybe having a guest or a featured artist, join us on the record, and we sort of said, well, I mean, Steve would be our first choice if you think he would do it. And Ray said, well, I'll ask him. I mean, worst he can say is no. So Ray called Steve, and Steve was willing to do it. And he was coming into town to do the Opry, and just came by the studio one of the days we were tracking, and laid down a verse and a couple choruses for us. And, it was just a bucket list moment for us.
Yeah, cool, interesting thing, too, about the song choice is I'd been playing that harmonica part on Back Home, and we all of a sudden realized it's a complete ripoff of one of Steve Earle's harmonica parts on one of his songs, and we talked about how do we change it, what do we do, and then we decided, well, let's just invite him to sing on the song, and then we'll be covered. It'll be good. If he has issues with it, he'll let us know in the booth. And so it seems like we're all good at this point.
Oh, how neat.
Steve talks a lot about how Terrence Van Zandt and Guy Clark were mentors of his. And while he sat in rooms with them and watched them up close, we didn't get to do that as much with Steve or artists like Rodney Crowell or Kentucky boy like Chris Knight. But man, those guys served as mentors for us in every song that they put out, every album that they made. From a distance, we took note on how they wrote their songs and how they formed their songs and the way they said things, the way they presented them and performed them. And so even though it was from a distance, guys like Steve and Chris Knight and Rodney, those guys worked as mentors. We see them as mentors to us, even though it was from a bit of a distance.
Yeah. Garrett Boys, great to have you on Red Barn Radio, and I'm glad we have more music to go. Let's welcome back Garrett Boys to Red Barn Radio.
Thanks. I mentioned my grandfather and grandmother both. They were huge inspirations on us. Russ and I grew up next door to them and counted it a gift to be able to just run next door anytime we wanted to go to Grandma's house. They were amazing stalwarts of our not only our family, but also our community. And they just had a great story, a great love story. When they fell in love, they were too young to get married without consent. And my grandmother's mother just wasn't having it. So they ran off to Mississippi, where they didn't need consent to get married. And when they came back, they told my grandmother, or my grandmother's mother about it. And she said, "Peggy, you have led your ducks to a bad pond." But they were married for, band historian, 65 years, and lived happily ever after. And so it turned out to be a pretty good pond. So this is a song about their life and their love story, and it kind of just wrote itself. So this is the Ballad of Ed and Peg. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2. Son of a logger and a bricklayer's daughter fell into something that few rarely find. Despite the warnings from her mother, she led her ducks to that water, and her eyes would shine brighter when he'd come around. And she'd smile when he told her that she'd be the only one he'd love. So on Valentine's Eve, when everyone was asleep, she climbed out her window into his passenger seat, went off to Mississippi where no consent would be needed, and stood before a judge and the Lord up above, and swore on everything holy that she'd be the only one he loved. And soon they'd have 2 daughters and a boy in between. Time would move quicker than they could have dreamed, and days turned to memories, beginnings to endings, like life and fast forward on a screen. Yeah. Now her health had been fading, of that there's no doubt, but there was just certain things that he couldn't think about.
like holding her hand by a hospital bed and saying goodbye until they'd meet again. Or how to deal with the lonely, knowing she'll be the only one he loved.
Thanks. Thank you. Well, I mean, obviously, a lot of these songs mean a lot to us. They have deep history in our families, stories that go back a long way. Some of them are funny, some of them are sad, and then some of them are just completely fictitious, which is this song. This song's called Pearl, Mississippi. I've never even been to Pearl, Mississippi. Russ, in his touring days, has been close.
I've seen the sign for Pearl, Mississippi.
So that's
from the
kind of close
interstate.
enough. So sometimes, you know, songs are just make-believe. And but we had a guy come up after one of our shows and say, "I'm from Pearl, or I'm from near Pearl, Mississippi, and you ain't missing much." But then since we've heard they have a good meet and three, so I want to check that out. We ready, boys? This is Pearl, Mississippi. I'm a prisoner, might as well be locked in chains, yeah, and I'm guilty, but of that I'm not ashamed. I'll be a victim, yeah, I'll play your game, 'cause she broke my heart before, and she'll break my heart again, it's guaranteed. But if there's a sad song to be sung about a fool is at hung, yeah, well, that ain't me. I'm not a care in the world. I'm in love with a girl from Pearl, Mississippi. You might think I'm crazy, say I'm totally insane, maybe I've lost it, but I gave it all away for one chance to hold her, if just for today. 'Cause she broke my heart before, and she'll break my heart again, it's guaranteed. And if there's a sad song to be sung about a fool his head hung, yeah, well, that ain't me. I'm not a care in the world. I'm in love with a girl from Pearl, Mississippi. Now, I ain't ever been a jealous kind. I swear I'll be just fine, long as every other night she comes running back to me. 'Cause she broke my heart before, and she'll break my heart again, it's guaranteed. But if there's some sad song to be sung about some fool with his head hung, yeah, well, that ain't me. I'm not a care in the world. I'm in love with a girl from Pearl, Mississippi. I'm not a care in the world. I'm in love with a girl from Pearl, Mississippi. Thank you so much. Well, sometimes we do get mistaken for a bluegrass band because we play bluegrass instruments, but we really hold bluegrass players in high regard, and we don't really like to practice. So we don't really consider ourselves bluegrass players, so we consider ourselves a folk band. And we heard somewhere that if you were going to be a folk band, you had to have a train song. And we didn't have a train song, so we decided, well, we better write one, and thought really hard about the title, and we went with On a Train. So this is our train song, On a Train. Here we go, boys.
outside of Detroit City, I met a girl who walked real pretty. Said she was running from her yesterday. She said, I ain't ever been to New Orleans, but it always sounded good to me. Let's hop a car and head on down that way, yep. So I'll be on a train, maybe headed west, strapped on my back, all I got left. And if you're looking for me, come call my name, yeah. I'll be on a train, yeah. Yeah, I'll be on a train. Yeah, now that Southern Pacific line I was on took me straight to San Antone. The sun came up at Sunset Station there. And I'd heard about them Texas girls, thought I might give one a whirl. For a couple nights we made quite the pair, yep. But I'll be on a train, maybe headed west, strapped on my back, all I got left. And if you're looking for me, come call my name, yeah. I'll be on a train, yeah, I'll be on a train. Ride one there, Keith Sewell. Live the kind of life, made some room for kids, a wife, but until now it's clear that that ain't me. Yeah, I don't want to rule it out, might find me one that ties me down, but until then, you know where I'll be. Yep, I'll be on a train, maybe headed west, strapped on my back, all I got left. And if you're looking for me, call my name, yeah. I'll be on a train. Yeah, I'll be on a train. Yeah, I'll be on a train. I'll be on a train. Here we go, boys.
All right. Well, there are many people to thank for our broadcast. First, Garrett Boys, our guests on this program. We want to thank all of you, folks, for listening to our webcast, watching us on social media, and those listening to us on our growing network of Red Barn stations and media worldwide. Thanks to WEKU, Red Barn's premier radio partner, Central and Eastern Kentucky's radio news leader. You can listen online at WEKU.org. It's your chance to hear more great live music from Red Barn Radio and WEKU, NPR for Central and Eastern Kentucky. Those of you here in the Central Kentucky area, be sure to check out Red Barn TV. It's our weekly program of music, now on ABC 36 WTVQ. Red Barn Radio comes to you from our home, the Arts Place Performance Hall, here in the grand city of Lexington, Kentucky. Our website has updates and further information on our guests and our program. We're on the web at redbarnradio.com. Now, before we close out the program, I think Garrett Boys have one more song they'd like to play for us.
Sure.
All right.
Thanks. I was born in a small town, and I live in a small town. Probably die in a small town, oh, a small community. All my friends, it's a small town. My parents live in the same small town. My job is a small town.
provides little opportunity. Yeah. Educated in a small town, taught the fear of Jesus in a small town. Used to daydream in that small town, astride another boy and romantic, that's me. Oh, but I've seen it all in a small town. Had myself a ball in a small town. Met an LA doll and brought her to this small town. Now she's small town, just like me. Yeah. Oh, but I cannot forget from where it is that I come from. I cannot forget the people who really love me. Yeah, I can be myself here in this small town. Yeah, people let me be just what I want to be. Got nothing against the big town. I'm still hayseed enough to say, look who's in the big town. But my bed is in a small town. Yeah, and that's good enough for me. See, I was born in a small town, and I can breathe in a small town. I'm gonna die in a small town, yeah, and it's right where I need to be. Oh, yeah, 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 talking about a small town. Oh, yeah, 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 talking about a small town. Small town. Thank y'all. Thanks.
Thank you. That is all for our show for this week. Hey, remember, you can see and hear Red Barn Radio worldwide as we stream live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch Wednesdays, 7 p.m. Eastern in North America. Hey, it's always great to hear from all of you who listen to Red Barn Radio's archive performances on your favorite streaming platforms and on our Red Barn Radio YouTube channel. Speaking of you listeners, please, before, during, or after you enjoy Red Barn Radio while you are at our store shopping for Christmas gifts, multitask. Take just a moment to engage with us. Your comments, your sharing, your choice to follow us is what will keep us growing and continuing our mission to keep roots music Southern style coming to your neck of the woods and beyond. And now we bid you good night. Let's stick together, let's appreciate each other, and let's join up again next week for another great evening of music and conversation on Red Barn Radio. I'm Bradford Becker. See you next time.